right. Well, thanks, Joe, for showing off how this works. Because I'm still hoping to get more of my clients kind of involved in that off-page SEO aspect, getting their name out there in other sources. So it's good to have some experience of it so that I can talk to them about it. But now we're going to do my thing, which is the Kingdom Builders interview. So I sent you the questions before. I'm just kind of going to walk through them and let the Holy Spirit and your coffee, or actually you have an energy drink or something. I don't know.
I've got a Waterloo sparkling water. I had I get up early on Fridays. A couple friends and I have coffee, like 6 or so, and so I've already had my caffeine, and I think any more would probably be past the law of diminishing returns. I think it would be detrimental.
Understood. So, Kolbe Studios, you have recently kind of rebranded to focus on Catholic businesses. You also started a Substack company, so you are in the thick of it. What's your story to your current position? What has kind of inspired you to start on these ventures?
Yeah, well, I want to correct the record really quick. We were previously specifically catering to Catholic businesses, but the rebrand is actually away from that into a broader, faith-based Christian faith-based is a funny thing. People will say like we serve faith-based founders or whatever. It's funny to like dog whistle Christianity because that's really what it is. Like, if you practice Islam or something like that, you're clearly not the target audience. But whatever, it's what people say, so it's what I say. We moved away from. Obviously, a lot of our clients are still Catholic. That's still the predominant, but we are now sort of broadly ecumenical for a number of reasons, actually. But to get put the cart too far before the horse, I started doing this. I started my self-employment journey, I suppose, in 2022. Is when I started. I was a freelance writer before I was freelance or self-employed in audio production. I started my career in audio. I was a broadcast radio producer and an on-air host. I did that starting in 2019. So I've been in audio about 7 years now. But I've been writing for about 10 or so. But I went freelance in 2022. I was a travel writer. I did travel and outdoor content, and that sort of started the whole journey. But I did that for a while. I got back into podcasting on the side because of my radio background. I picked up some gigs, just freelance audio editing. And in 2024 or so, whenever Jasper AI came around, 2024, 2023, one of those two, once AI first came on the scene, I lost some clients up front who I'm sure, had I stuck around, I would have gotten them back because we've seen what AI content writing is, and it's not very good. But at the time, I didn't really know a lot. I didn't know how to pivot. AI had come on the scene, the sort of early Biden years economic turn down had started to hit. And if I knew then what I know now, I think I would have been fine. But I didn't. So I pivoted. I lost a couple of major clients almost overnight, and I was still making enough money to get by. I was single. I didn't have any expenses, so it was fine. But I got an offer to work for an agency as a content writer, a local agency doing web design for primarily local businesses. Contractors, lawyers, oilmen. I'm in the South. I'm in East Texas, so those are the things you get around here. And I did it. I was good at it. I enjoyed it for a while, and then I just stopped enjoying it. I tried sales for a bit. I tried selling TV advertisements for. I've just been chasing dead media. I think I went from radio to TV. I think I'll get into newspapers next and just see if I can do the trifecta. But I did that for a little bit, and I went, okay, if I can't do this, this is the most freedom you're going to get in a W-2 job. If I can't do this, I have to go back to working for myself. Turns out I couldn't do it. Good people, in both places, good people, good work. It was perfectly fine. It was just, I don't think everybody's wired. I think some people are wired to work for themselves and pretty much only wired to work for themselves. I'm certainly one of those people. My dad ran his own business. His dad ran his own business. I mean, I think there's some aspect of it that's just like genetic, just like kind of in how you're wired. And so I went back to writing a little bit and doing audio production. I had picked up a couple of clients. I had some savings. I was making, I don't know, $2,000 a month or something like that off a few clients. And we had savings. My wife at the time was still working part-time. Because after we got married, she went down to part-time and, took over more of the housework so I could work full-time. And at that point, I found out she was pregnant not that much longer. Not that long after I found out she was pregnant. So I went, all right, I need to make more money. I had a kind of a ticking clock. I went, okay, I've probably got 3-4 months. I think I probably had at the time 4 months or so until she was going to quit her job, and we had some savings. I did the math. I was like, I can get away for about 4 more months or so without making another dollar, which was nice. It was nice to have that math. That was reassuring. I figured I would make more money, but I went, if somehow I don't, I've got 4 months of runway. And then, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it, I guess. But Saint Kolbe Studios ultimately, and Quill and Wave, the second business I started as of actually very recently, which is audio editing for Substack authors and their voiceovers, because they're awful and we could fix them easily and it would help them, retain and attract subscribers. So those two things, but Saint Kolbe Studios is the main thing. It's really just an extension of the freelancing I've been doing for a long time, and it came to fruition a year and a half ago, give or take, something like that. It's still a fairly new endeavor, but it was ultimately an extension of the freelance clients I had, and brought on some new ones and have continued to do so. That's that's the long version of what may have well been a short question, but that's how we got here.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing. And so you're working with faith-based clients. And how have you seen God working in what you do?
I said this a while back on Silas Maynard's podcast, the Catholic Founders podcast, that, and I did that appearance months ago, but I still remember it because it's something that's rang true for the whole time, and I'm kind of constantly reminded of it. When I first went back to working for myself, there was no point where I really felt like it was going to fail. And I imagine some of that is just, one, I've done this before, I kind of get the gist. 2, some amount of hubris. 3, it kind of had to work. But forward, I think the most important one, I figured that either I am so wildly wrong and deluded that this is all going to come crashing down, or I am at least kind of participating in the will of God. I'm at least kind of getting it right. He's allowing me to continue doing it. I made so many mistakes in year one that I shouldn't have made any money, but I did. We did fine. We didn't do great. We did perfectly fine. We kept the lights on. Everybody fed, baby in diapers and all. So either I'm getting incredibly lucky and I'm still deluding myself, or the other option I'm coming around to realize is this does seem to be something good that we are offering. It does seem to be in line with divine will, probably imperfectly, but at least something that approximates correct, which I think is really all most of us can hope for. So the sort of constant of, I'm worried I'm just not taking this seriously enough because I feel like it's going to be fine. At some point, I kind of stopped worrying. I wasn't taking it seriously enough and realized that I may actually just be doing something right. And that is, that's the explanation for the sort of peace and the surety. Mm-hmm. So that's been a constant. It's been a grace from God, certainly, to feel like it's all going to be fine, even when, mathematically it didn't make the most sense. It was never irresponsible, but there were times where it was certainly more up in the air, and that's been helpful for for the journey.
Absolutely. And so you have your peace with this, but also, what is your hope, to share? What fruit that you might not be able to see? But what is your hope for the fruit of this work that you think is in God's will and, he seems to be providing for your business. So where do you think it's fitting?
Yeah, I think a lot of Catholic Christian entrepreneurial folks often talk about, this is promoting the kingdom of God. This is, for the gospel, et cetera, et cetera. And those things are great. I don't really pitch it that way. And primarily why I don't is, well, the answer to your question here of how I see it, how I see the fruit of it. I think the promotion of the gospel and the kingdom, et cetera, is a secondary good, certainly. But actually, I see the primary good here as the ability to offer dignified work that allows people to, put food on their table, feed their families, take care of their families, provide all that. That is, that's actually how I primarily see it. The good of the work we do for our clients obviously is primary, and the secondary kingdom benefit there, I suppose, is they do good things, they put good things out into the world. People are, inspired, edified, helped, et cetera, by them. And that's great. But it's always been, even before I had any, employees, contractors, all that, it was, I think, always with the understanding that the actual biggest part of this is the ability to offer dignified work in a world where that's tougher to come by, especially in the digital economy, I guess. When we work, like I work a fake job. I always say that I work like the realest fake job you can have. Like it's not tangible. It's not, materials out in the world. I don't make anything. Like audio, I suppose, is technically tangible. Like you can get into the nitty gritty of it. But the real tangible thing I can do is offer something good to the folks that work with me. And that's where I see it most, which is maybe an answer I think folks may not expect, but that is really the primacy I see it of, offering something good to the people that work with me. And second, close second certainly, but a second all the same is offering something good to our clients. Because I figure, if we have good people doing good things that are taken care of, well, that's just going to flow downstream. It's going to benefit everybody. So that's where I see it. That's where I always start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for sharing. I do appreciate that groundedness in reality and the fakeness of artwork sometimes. It's like I sit behind a computer and things happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
What is a challenge for you in being a Christian business owner? So, not just being a business owner, not just being a Christian, but, really trying to work as a Christian business owner.
Yeah, I mean, the parameters on that the guardrails on that are pretty obvious, I think. It would be infinitely easier to make much more money if you don't have morals. I think it's that simple. I could be doing a lot better if I didn't care. Not that you can't make plenty of good money, doing morally upright things, running a good business, all that. Obviously you can, but, I don't think the people running S&P 500 companies are particularly interested in the will of God, and they are doing better than all of us. So that alone, I don't know, maybe somebody disagrees with me. That's fine. You're probably wrong, but I think that it would just be infinitely easier if I didn't have to measure all the choices I made against a standard that has eternal consequences. It would be easier. It would be at least easier to make money. It probably wouldn't be easier to live, strictly speaking, because I'd be, going against the divine order, and that actually makes it harder to live. But it would be easier to get rich. That's the tension, man. I mean, and you can get into, but if I just did this, I could make more money, and then I could give my employees a little more money, and then I could help their family. And there is this sort of downstream benefit of maybe I just bend the rules here a little bit. You can kind of get into this like consequentialist mind frame that allows you to exist in the grayer area that you probably ought to be in. And I understand there's certainly a well-meaning goal in there, and that's why it's appealing. It's because it's at least partially correct. But having to go, I have to do this right, even if it means giving up one good in exchange for pursuing another one. And that's difficult. It'd be a lot easier to make more money if I didn't have to do that. But that's the reality I think we all face.
Yeah, and I think, there is that huge dilemma in choosing the right good sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like what you said, it sounds easier than it is.
Yeah, it does. It does.
And I was wondering if you could expand a little bit on that, measuring your choices against, the eternal judgment standards that we have. What does it mean for you to be a Christian business owner? What does it mean to make those decisions for you? Kind of what does that look like?
Yeah, I think there's the phrase, the road to hell is paved with the skulls of bishops. I think, analogously, that is the concern of the Christian business owner. Obviously not at the same sense, of course, but there is a way in which, the more you are given, the more responsibility you have. And when you use more responsibility well, the goods are greater and your reward is greater. But when you use it poorly, and maybe that's putting it charitably, the consequences you face are greater, and not just on this earth because, you treat an employee poorly and he quit or something like that. This, I think it would be good if all business owners remembered that things you do can just send you to hell. I think that it would be a good, sobering reminder that you could kill your, soul. You could be eternally separated from God by making these choices that are against the will of God. Now, I know it's not that simple, but it is possible, and intent and all that. Sure, the infinite mercy of God. But I'm not saying that we're all heading there, but I am saying that it is a gift that we can reject, and in so doing reject God. And the more we are given, the more that the Lord asks of us, and the more severe his punishment will be if we don't do it. And the greater the reward will be if we do. I think it means remember that you're going to die, and you might send yourself to hell. Which is maybe not how you want to start your morning, but it's probably what you need. It's a good reminder that your actions have real consequences, not just what's in front of you, but for your eternal soul. So, be better, I guess. This is as much to me as it is to anybody else. Be better. That's what it means. I think to be a Christian business owner is to be constantly reminded that you will die and your actions will have real consequences, good or bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, memento mori. That'll be the title of the blog post. Business owners will die. Yeah,
that's true. We will, and God will yell at us more, probably.
Well, that was awesome. Thank you. And, I feel like I have tons of theological follow-up questions, but maybe not time for them today. Just talking about kind of sin and culpability and the business owner. Yeah. Because, you are right that we are shepherds in our own way, mm-hmm. right? Not, like you said, not the same extent as bishops and priests, but certainly over the company we do have important responsibilities that are also moral as a Christian mm-hmm. business owner. So, thanks for giving us lots to think about.
If you hadn't remembered that you're going to die and be judged, there you go. I'm sorry to remind you, but it's for your own good to remember that constantly. Me above all, I should remember it well more than I do. But it's a good thing to keep in mind. Maybe we should all have skulls in our desks. I think that would do us good.
Yeah, absolutely. Guess tag us on social media. Maybe we'll send you a digital skull.
There you go. The 500th viewer of this gets a real skull.
Not a real skull, right?
I mean, you can get them from universities and whatnot. You could also get a fake one. I have to imagine a fake one's cheaper. We'll get you a Spirit Halloween skull. Whoever the 500th download on this one is, send me a DM. I'll get it to you.
Sounds good. All right. Well, any final words of advice? Now, this is your moment to pontificate a little, if you would like.
Oh gosh, I think that this advice may not be universal, but it is at least fitting for somebody who's kind of walked the path I have or is starting out on it. You can tolerate more risk the earlier you are in your journey. So if you feel like you ought to do this, there is no better time to start than now. Like you're never going to have less risk and less responsibility, at least not until, retirement age or something like that. And I'm not saying it doesn't matter at that point, but it's an entirely different ballgame at that point. The best time to do it is now. And if you decide you don't want to, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not somebody who preaches entrepreneurship is like the thing you have to do. But if you feel like you have a calling and you feel like you have a talent or, a service to offer that you can make money off of and you can offer something good, it's never going to get easier. It's actually only going to get harder. You're only going to have, another kid or a larger mortgage or a bigger medical bill or whatever your thing is. Like it's not getting easier anytime soon. So, if you're thinking about it, take the leap. Be smart. I wish I had taken a smarter leap. I wish I'd had more runway. So, do as I say because I learned it the hard way. But be prudent and all that. But don't mistake fear for prudence. I think that's the biggest thing I can say to anybody who is an entrepreneur or wants to be. Prudence is good, but it's often just fear that we're trying to repackage as prudence to make ourselves feel better. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to take the leap, it's only going to get harder. You might as well do it now. Be smart, but at some point, the thing that feels reckless is probably just right because you're deficient in courage. I say this to myself more than probably anybody. Like I get it. That's something I'm naturally tending towards cowardice. So I figure whatever I think is like silly to do because it's imprudent, it's probably just more or less right. It's not going to get easier. Take the swing, and if it doesn't work out, that's fine. God's not going to let you just fall off the cliff. And if he does, it's for your own good. So either way, you're fine. You'll be all right.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Joe. We had an excellent talk. Is there any call to action you want to give to people?
Yeah, you can. If you are a podcaster who is spending too many hours for not enough results and you want some help with that, SaintKolbeStudios.com, all spelled out. If you're a business owner who doesn't have enough leads, podcasting is a great way to do it. Same link, SaintKolbeStudios.com. And if you are a Substack author who wants to record high quality voiceovers to ultimately make you more money through more subscribers, Quill and Wave, like Quill is in the pen thing and Wave is in the audio wave, QuillandWave.com. That's a new thing. It's a site I built myself. So, I didn't hire that one out. So be nice to me. If you don't like it, that's you're probably right. But
I'll go give you some SEO feedback.
There you go. I'm sure
free audit.
I'm sure my SEO is bad, but it is like less than a week old. So we don't have a lot of domain authority. But yeah, the big one, SaintKolbeStudios.com. That's the way to get to me. You can also find me on LinkedIn. I imagine if this comes out as a podcast or some sort of written format, it'll be in the show notes somewhere. So wherever that link is, that's where you can find me.